The Boundary Park Alert System is sponsored by Pendle New Tech, a family-run Lancashire business you can rely on for everything fire safety related, including supply and installation, maintenance, testing, certification, alarms, risk assessments, like I said, anything fire safety related. But what do I know? Visit pendle-nu-tech.com and they'll sort you right out. Check the show notes for more information.
This is a test of the Boundary Park Alert System.
Hello and welcome back to the Boundary Park Alert System podcast with me, Matt Dean. I'm flying solo today insofar as there's no Andy Halliwell, who has flown off to some far-flung destination for a luxury holiday, no doubt. I hope he's having a wonderful time if he's listening to this. Usual stand-in, Dave Bradley, is also on holiday. He'd usually be tucking into lots of Guinness and all-inclusive food, but he's looking very svelte these days. He's been on a training regime akin to that of the Latics at St Andrews, but he's been on it for a while now. He's looking good. So if you're listening, Dave, I hope you're not indulging too much and undoing all that hard work on your now Adonis-like body. Sorry, listeners, for bringing Dave's body into it so early in the season. I'm joined instead by two directors of OASF who have kindly stood in for the absent Dave and Andy to talk about the opening game of the season against Port Vale. So we won't do, since there's two fan guests, we won't do all the questions. So we'll do a little bit, but I'd like to welcome Maurice and Mark. It's Mark Albiston and Maurice Scott from OASF. Welcome, gents.
Morning.
Hi, Matt.
Maurice, you've been on before.
Yes, I have. Yeah, last season, I think, pretty early on.
And you're one of our Cumbrian Blues, aren't you? Although you are based over this way.
Yes, I am. The first Latics game I ever went to was Carlisle against Oldham with a Carlisle supporting friend. And my abiding memory from that is that we got stoned by Oldham fans on Werner Station.
Right.
So you might say, I don't hold grudges.
No, I was wondering where that was going then when you said you got stoned, but it was very much of the medieval variety. Yeah, because there is a bit of a Cumbrian connection with the OASF, isn't there? Because Martin, who's also a director, who lives out that way, doesn't he?
Yeah, Martin did the reverse journey. I came from Cumbria to Oldham, and he's gone from Oldham to Cumbria.
Yeah, indeed.
There is somebody else that lives around there, at least one. So we do have a Cumbrian branch.
We're everywhere. We're massive, absolutely massive. So yeah, welcome back to the podcast, Maurice. Thanks for stepping in. I know you from my time back on the board at OASF and whatnot. And last time I saw you were showing off a long sleeve OASF Latics Leeds shirt in Tesco was it Failsworth?
No, Featherstone Road.
Featherstone Road, that's right. Yeah. Always on brand, Maurice. Always on brand. And the new season, and it's an early one. We're doing it at 10 a.m, so you'll have to forgive the lack of ability to speak. The second guest, is a new director of OASF. It's Mark Albiston. Welcome, Mark.
Morning, Matt.
Did your first Latics match involve getting stoned in any way, shape or form?
No, it's. I've thought long and hard about when the first game was, and I genuinely cannot remember. But my first memorable game was equally miserable because it was the Leeds United playoff match in the 86-87 season. Yeah. And if I ever needed to know what it was going to be like to be an Oldham fan, to have all of the joy one moment and then all of the pain to follow very quickly, I learned that in 2 minutes at Boundary Park.
Yeah. So that gives us an idea of your vintage then, doesn't it? If that was about 1987, wasn't it? So yeah. So a long suffering is a prefix that suits a lot of us from that era, I guess. You joined the board this time round.
I did.
How are you bedding in? Maurice hasn't made you do the induction, has he? Which can be a bit embarrassing. I hope you still do that, do you?
He hasn't had to strip off yet.
Oh, right, okay. Sorry, I didn't want to spoil the surprise.
Yeah, they did threaten it was going to have to happen yesterday, like in the stand, but there were too many children around for it to do.
All right. Well, that's
Yeah,
okay then.
thankfully. And given my yeah, one of the things I'm really keen to start looking at is around the kind of all things around safeguarding, inclusive club, how we kind of support the wider fan base. So background's local government. I am a social worker, so I'm really
Right.
passionate about all things around kind of fan experience in its broadest sense, not just the pies and the pasties.
Brilliant. Right. So, yeah, so stripping in the stand is definitely something
No,
you're
it's not.
aware of as not being ideal for
Wouldn't be
someone
appropriate.
in your position. Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. So let's welcome to the podcast, lads. Let's talk about the fan experience of the first day back at Boundary Park yesterday in the Football League for the second season, home game against Port Vale. The last, on the way back from the game, as we were walking back to the car yesterday after the match, there was 3 generations of Port Vale fans just in front of us, granddad, dad, and 2 young boys walking away. I said, who've you got next week, lads? And they said, Tranmere at home. So I said, oh, well, easy 3 points there for you. But I said, the last time we won at home on the opening game of the season was Braintree in the National League, wasn't it? I mean, we've had some big... like the Dorking game was the first. I know it wasn't the first game of the season, but it was the first home game of the season. That was a big occasion with the procession and everything. But yesterday was last season was MK Dons away for the first game of the season, 0-0. This season, that game against Port Vale just felt really special. It was a good club who brought 2,000 fans with them. Fantastic crowd yesterday. Best part of 10,000 there. Sun was out for most of it, or in and out, but warm enough. It was just a fantastic occasion, wasn't it? I think regardless of the result and the performance, there was a real wave of optimism even before kickoff. I think everyone was really looking forward to it. And how? I'll ask you first of all. Start with you, Maurice. How did you expect it to go yesterday? Did you go into the game with any kind of great expectation of how things might pan out, or what?
I felt positive after the Stoke match, really, because I think we played really well there. And although we lost, it was really strange coming away from a 2-0 defeat, feeling positive.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, we can carry that through against Port Vale. We may win, we may not, but in the end, I thought that it was just a brilliant, not brilliant performance, but a really dogged, steady performance. And we did what we needed to do and score goals. So I was really pleased with the performance, but I think it was a bit of a carry on from, the Sheffield Wednesday game, the Stoke game, and it was just almost more of the same, but against weaker opposition. And that's not saying that Port Vale won't be a good team in that division.
Yeah, they look like a side that. I think the thing is, Mark, there's the opposite momentum, isn't there, between Latics and Port Vale? Latics have been on the upward momentum. That's what happens when you get relegated as far down as we did. When the rebuilding starts, the momentum starts going in the right direction. Port Vale got relegated last season, so their momentum isn't great. It looked like they'll probably have enough to start picking up momentum as the season goes on and probably be decent. It was probably a good time to play them in that respect. But what did you make of yesterday, Mark? What were your first impressions?
Yeah, so I've not been able. That's the first game I've been to this kind of season. I wasn't able to get to Stoke or any of the friendlies because I was away. So, if I'm honest, I came in with we've got a new team, we've got a new squad. I went in with some expectations that, despite the momentum you've talked about with Port Vale, they're still a team. They're quite a big team, and they did have some pace about them. So I was just more interested in seeing how the team bedded in, if I was honest. And what really surprised me, and it was the pace of some of the new lads. So the kind of the guys we've got from Southend, the winger that we've got from what's it called? We signed it. Is it from Stoke City that we've got on a season-long loan?
Yeah.
And I just think how we attacked with pace was the interesting bit. We're clearly a developing team at the moment, but yeah, we just need to get some studs for Drummond, because he really does need some studs, because I think we could have had about at least another goal had he been able to stay on his feet. But we grew into the game, and by the second half we were bossing it, I would argue.
Is that a potential OASF campaign there, Morris, you think? Studs for Drummond? Hashtag Studs for Drummond.
Yeah, I think we'll replace Boot Bank. We'll have Stud Bank.
Stud Bank, yeah. yeah. There was a bit of slipping, wasn't there? I think I'm sure. I dread to think what the water bill has been over the summer to keep that pitch looking so green. And obviously they watered it before the game, and it was slippy. But when every other patch of grass in the country looks like a desert, so it must have cost a fair few quid to keep the pitch looking as good as it was. It looked fantastic. I think what I noticed straight away, and I like you, Mark. I didn't go to Stoke because I was away. I would have gone to Stoke if I wasn't away, but I was on holiday, and I'm really not bothered about pre-season friendlies. I tend to not bother. And to be honest with you, it's this is the start of our 7th season doing this. So for the last 6 seasons, it's been twice a week doing a podcast, all the social media and all that kind of stuff, and it you're ready for a break, and I've really not thought that much about Latics. I've been on the hashtag every now and again. I've obviously, we've got a sign in and all that kind of stuff, but I've really kind of sort of tried to just put it out of my mind. The World Cup helped as well, like, something different to focus on, and obviously England did all right, got to semi-final, probably could have done better, but it is what it is. We support Oldham and England. We don't expect to actually enjoy tournaments and seasons to that much of a degree, but I enjoyed the World Cup, and then after that I was kind of a bit of football fatigue, so a bit of a break. And as the game approaches today, I'd still not got the excitement. But I'll tell you what, as soon as I got in that ground yesterday, and as soon as I walked out, and that's kind of like why I like leaving it. That's kind of why I like having that break and not going to the friendlies and all that kind of stuff, because the buzz of walking back in to Boundary Park when it's like that, when you've got that first game of the season, when it's full or as near as, was just fantastic. And I just thought that you could just tell really, really early on, even though obviously it took us until the second half to really click into gear, that there was just better players on the pitch. We just had better players on the pitch, and you could see the upgrade in from where we'd come from last season, and last season was the same, an upgrade on the year before. But the difference I thought this season was, I thought, okay, we played pretty well away at MK Dons last season to get that draw, but I thought yesterday you could see the markup straight away, and the obvious one is Norburn in midfield. You can tell he's a good player because he always looks like he's got time and space on the ball, and you don't have in League Two. You know what I mean, in the centre of the pitch, and he was fantastic. And this was the first time I've seen any of them in a Latics shirt, but I totally agree. A contender for the man of the match was for Umni. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. The lad from Stoke, the winger, really, really, I thought he was brilliant yesterday. He had offered a real different dynamic, different threat, really lively, popping up all over the place and giving Port Vale loads to worry about. On the other side, Drummond, he didn't sort of have his most potent game in an attacking sense, but he worked his absolute socks off up and down that left-hand side. Played really, really well, supporting Robson. Kavanagh, I thought, played really well, moving across the line, sort of linking up on each side with the. I thought we had more threat down the right, but he was moving across, trying to link up with the fullbacks and the wingers, and I thought that was really good. The Forson, is it? I've really not got to grips with the names yet, but I thought he played really well. Just his energy and his movement and just a real live wire in the middle of the park. And Gus Morris at right back, first game in League Two up to this level, I think. And I thought he handled that really, really well. So all over the park, you were just looking and thinking, and obviously we know what Fondot's going to bring. Fondot did what Fondot does yesterday, played really well. I just thought we looked really solid. I mean, we'll come on to the Manny Mon thing because I've not listened to the interview yet with Mickey Mellon, but I believe you mentioned something about Manny, so we'll touch on that later. But the young lad from Bolton on loan, help me out. What's he called? Delaney. he came in and I thought he did really well. He looks like a young lad and he's got things to learn, and he made a few errors here and there, but again, big step up, League Two, big game, big occasion. He did all right. So yeah, all in all, it just looks like a step up, doesn't it? And
I think one thing that really epitomised it was at 2-0, the game was as good as done. And it's the way that Robson reacted to clearing the ball at the back. So they absolutely wanted that. He celebrated it like he'd scored a goal. And, the fans reacted well to it. And not only were they interested in winning the game, they were interested in the clean sheet and seeing it through. And that's definitely something that carried on from last season when we went on that mad run.
Yeah,
what's
definitely.
Interesting is that I think really said before, but it was what we saw yesterday with those new players we'd already seen in friendlies, and it was just a continuation. So friendlies hadn't been some sort of dress rehearsal almost.
Yeah,
they were at it, and they just continued yesterday, and we've just got more energy in midfield, which we've been crying out for.
Yeah.
And Norburn with a little bit more class.
I think what it does, I think when you look back over the last 3 seasons, 3.5, with Mickey Mellon in charge, and you think about the frustration that fans have had with some of the performances, some of the players, etc., and in some cases with the manager. But I think the manager's frustrations have been with the team not doing what he wants them to do, and I think that comes from the quality of the players that you've got to deal with. And I think it's a good point that you made, Maurice. Obviously, I'm taking it on your word because I've not seen the performances myself, but it seemed very clear very early on in the game yesterday that you can only work with what you've got. And when you've got better players on the pitch, better quality players who can fit in more quickly to a formation, to a side, who know what they're doing, who are able to do a job that the manager wants them to do. And it just looked a lot more organised. They looked better coached. And I think it's not necessarily that they've been better coached. I think it's just that better players respond better and more quickly to coaching and to instructions and all that kind of stuff. And like they've been to St Andrews, they've done the physical stuff. I thought Drummond looked like he was blowing out of his arse by the end of the game, but he obviously needed the minutes, and I think that he did a job and he put his shift in, and it'll help. But I think you're absolutely spot on, Mark. The attitude about wanting to keep, because I wanted to keep a clean sheet, because last season, the success of last season, and last season was a success, finishing 10th in our first season back in the Football League, the most clean sheets in the league, pretty much. Golden Glove for Hudson was the clean sheets, was the lack of goals that we let in, and if you can, we don't need to be winning 3-4-5-0, 1-0, 2-0 will do absolutely fine, and that's what it was all about yesterday. Once we got that second goal, it was like, right, now we just don't concede, game over, and it was very, very professional. And to have all those positives in the first game of the season bodes well without getting too carried away, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I think that's the bit, because it's always feast or famine with Oldham Athletic, isn't it? We're either winning the league or the club needs to fold.
Yeah.
Some of the fan reactions on social media, there's never a happy medium, sadly. And I just think we've got off to a really good start. The foundations are there. We've got players that we can bring off the bench, which is, again, building on we've massively upgraded on the squad last season. There's players on the bench, there's players to come back that can still affect a game. And we've not been in that position for so long as a club. It's either been first 11 or nothing.
Yeah. And I think patience is something that isn't abundant in football, whether it's on the terraces or in the boardroom. Let's be honest, they both get as twitchy as each other sometimes, depending on the club. But it's paid off big time for Latics so far. Having patience, we don't need to go back over, Sheridan, Unsworth, all that back in the day. Once Mellon's come in, it's been about building for the future. There's so much, I say it every season, but there's so much that has to be done from when they took over the club across absolutely every possible facet of the football club. There was so much work that needed doing and so much money needed spending. And, they're spending it in as sensible a way as they possibly can, getting things in the ground around the stadium, the facilities, the backroom staff, all that kind of stuff done, all the other little projects that they're working on. So it's not just about money, it's about time, innit? Time and effort as well. They've got another business to run, the owners of the club. They've got a successful business that they have to run as well as running a football club. So it's a really, really big ask, and it's a really, really fantastic job that they've done so far. But you can't throw the kind of budget at it that maybe MK Dons did last season, that Salford City do. It's not like that. It's about building up that squad over a number of seasons to get the players together that are going to give you the push. And I think, based on what I've seen so far, that we've got half a chance this season of being up there. And what I'd love more than anything this season is to get a good start, because I know we've had a good start, but I'm talking like over the first 10 games or so, because I thought last season we played pretty well for the first 10 games, but we just couldn't take our chances. But one man who did yesterday was Calum Kavanagh. He scored 2 really good goals. I mean, I know the second goal was a sort of like through the keeper's legs from a few yards out, but his movement to get to the ball and his awareness was fantastic. His finish, despite slipping, hashtag studs for Cav, was also really, really good. I thought it was two really good poachers goals yesterday. I'm not sure if anyone, I don't know, he kind of didn't really obviously it's his first season first season last season, and was in and out of the team, wasn't he? But yesterday, it was like, oh, hang on a minute. There's a 20-goal striker here.
Well, I think it was always there. From last season, we could see glimpses of it, but I don't think he was fully fit. He's just that much sharper, isn't he? And he says he spent time over the summer getting sharper, and he's talking about getting his head right as well. So I think maybe it was a bit of a wake-up call last season. Yeah. And he had an injury and whatever. And I think the player that we saw yesterday, and he's been better in pre-season as well, I think has sort of come out now. But it was always there.
Go on, Mark, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say just on that as well, is he doesn't have to affect the game because he's signed to score goals, doesn't he? That's where he has to affect the game. So there was bits of the game where, he was running the lines like you'd said, but I'd forgot he was there. But he turned up when it counted. And he can score 27 goals through the goalkeeper's legs from 1 yard out, as far as I can see. Then with the chances that we missed them last season. How many empty nets did we miss from in front of the goal last season?
Yeah.
And like Morris said, it's the bit in his interview where clearly Mellon's had a word with him in the background. He's had to sort his attitude out. There's clearly a refocused player in there. And that's one thing that Mellon's been good at right throughout his time. He did it with Norwood when he was here, when he dropped him. I'm sure he'll allude to why Manny Mont isn't in the team, and maybe it's a continuation of that style of management. But the one thing I do like about kind of Mellon is your status doesn't matter. If you're not pulling your weight, you won't play, and you've got to earn your place in that team. And it's back to when you've got good players, you can really reinforce that line of management.
100%. And I think Tom Conlon when he was with us was saying about how the standards had risen over time since he'd been at the club, and the level of professionalism. The type of players that we sign have to have that in them. And I said last season about Kane Drummond being at the club that he needs to be at to be his best. And maybe that's the case now with Kavanagh, because from the board down, we know that the likes of Frank, a very jovial kind of person, very friendly, very, likes to laugh and stuff. But at the end of the day, you're spending all that money and you're putting all that time and effort in. It's a very serious business, and you don't want anybody in there that's mucking about, not taking it seriously, wasting your time and your money. And fans expect the same, and the manager expects the same. And I think from top to bottom now, we've got that. We've got that expectation of what is expected, what is needed in order to take the club forward, and it's absolutely brilliant to see. And it was all kind of encapsulated in the first game of the season. Now there's 45 other games to go, or 44 games to go. Let's not get carried away. But it was as good an opening day of the season as we've had for a long time, I think it's fair to say. Shall we have a listen to what Mickey Mellon thought of it?
Mickey, a really strong opening day performance.
Yeah, it finishes off pre-season, and we showed a lot of qualities that I believed that we had, and for the entire game. And a rest on a tough game, by the way, there was nothing given really, and I just thought that the team that sort of made, that might sound a bit corny, but the team that was going to make the first mistake and blink first was going to lose the game. But I thought it was a decent game, a really toughly contested game between two sets of fit, physical boys. And I'm obviously pleased with my lads that have come out in the right end of a really good victory.
You said yesterday that you thought the lads were ready, and they really were, weren't they? Yeah,
I thought they were ready. I thought you can overcook it. You can be doing the stuff that I did last week. If it was a week longer, I'd be doing it again. And I just had the feeling that we needed to, as a group, and I mean that with the boys that didn't play as well, we needed to get a league game done. And I'm pleased that we were able to get the valuable 3 points there and a clean sheet, and we scored goals. Also, you can't have a go opener. That's for clean sheet sorted, and we're home win. So we're off and running with that.
You said it was the type of game where nothing was given, but obviously second half we really kicked on. Did you tweak anything at the break?
No. Keep doing our jobs, keep doing them well. They know what their jobs are. We've worked very hard on that. We put ourselves right under it in pre-season to find out what we needed to do at Rev Counter 9, playing against some really talented teams and big teams. So we kind of used the games and took it back to the classroom and worked on it and keep trying to grow it. And then when the game came around today, that we knew our jobs inside out, and we always I said to them was just make sure you keep doing them well. And then the boys that come off the bench, they knew as well, because we work so hard and make sure that everybody's involved, and the boys come off the bench and carry things forward and got us over the line.
Calum Kavanagh's had a really strong pre-season. He took the goals really well, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, I said to him, I'll be honest, I said to him last season, he's better than that, than what I've seen him since he was young. And he honestly took it to the chin, and he went away all pre-season and he trained. So he trained all pre-season, he came back, and his attitude since the day that he walked back in after pre-season has been second to none. And today he got the rewards for that hard work, because he's been outstanding all pre-season, and he's got himself very, very fit and in a really good place. And today you've seen what a good player he is. So I'm delighted we've got a good young striker here that plays the Oldham way, works hard, shows a great attitude, and he's added some goals to that today.
He's got plenty of goals for Bradford, of course. Is what he showed today precisely what you expect from him?
Yeah, listen, if we're playing with two front men and two wide men. They need to score goals. They will have it put on them. Anybody that comes to watch us or supports us knows that we're playing people up there for a reason. Strikers and wide men, you'll be asked to score goals, contribute goals, and if they don't, then they'll be asked why. So no, I'm pleased that we got the goals today. Pleased that we got a really good, solid, clean sheet. That was superb support. It was a really good atmosphere, and I enjoyed it today. I enjoyed it. You can't always come away from managing as a game of football and enjoy it like that. But I just enjoyed the occasion. I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the competition in the game. I enjoyed the tactical battle. I enjoyed the crowd, both sets of fans. And it just looked good. Oldham looked good today as a place, and the team matched up to that. So only a start. Only a start. Just said to them there, only a start. Definitely not get carried away. We're in on Monday. Standards have been set in pre-season, and they'll be expected to keep hitting them.
The midfield has been reshaped during the summer. Ollie Norburn, Appiah Forson, favour from out wide as well. How key was that area today?
Very important, and I'm going to need good midfield players, and I've got good midfield players that can slot into areas when needed. So when I think I need a certain type of player, I've got that midfield player that can go and do that. And there was a few that were unlucky and missed out today that could quite honestly have started for us, and I would have expected that type of performance again. So we've got a good, strong group. I think we've added more horsepower to the group. There's much more legs to the group, a lot more distance getting covered all over the pitch. And also behind that, there's another group of players champing at the bit to want to come in and play. So we're standing here at the minute, we're in a good place. It's a long old season, and we'll enjoy this evening, but it will be back to working on Monday and see what we could have did better, what we did do well, and take it forward from there.
No Manny from the start for the first couple of games. What are the reasons behind that?
Because he's had a poor pre-season. I've told him, you can't switch it on and off like a tap. You don't play for Oldham unless you're at it now. That's something that I've did since day one when I've come in here. If you're not at it, then now I've got a group that I will find somebody who is. To be fair, he's responded in the last week, but Big Ryan has been brilliant all pre-season since the day that he walked in. And I'll always play the players that I believe that will give us the best chance of getting Oldham a result. And that was the team that I thought that would today. But behind that, I'm going to need good players that are at it and are ready. And I think Manny's taken his little jab in a good way. And Ryan and the rest of the defenders know that they've got a good player behind them, champing a bit to play. And that's in every position. Every position now. If you're not at it, I'll have somebody champing my door wanting to play. So, no, quite simply like that. Didn't have a pre-season that I think that was good enough in terms of when the games came around. I've told them that, I'm not telling them any different. I expect more of Manny. I expect to be much, much better than that. And he knows that. And I will get a response at him. I will get the best version of Manny back again, because he's had that little jolt. And he'll be come back a top player for Oldham at some stage.
And just to finish off, you touched on the crowd earlier, but a great sense of occasion today. 9,500 fans in. A great as an occasion to start the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I wanted to give them something today, because when they turn up in big numbers, you just don't want to let them down, because you want to keep it like this. You want to try and keep people coming back for a whole host of reasons, financially and atmosphere-wise. You want to keep them coming back. So I was pleased that we gave them a performance that I believe they'll go home tonight. This afternoon, it's mental, isn't it? We're just about to kick off again now. It's 10 to 3. No, I'm pleased that we were able to give a performance that sort of justified that type of crowd. Oldham's a big club, and you want to make sure that you're getting the kind of attendances, but I've got to make sure that I put a team on there that they believe that it's worthwhile to come and watch.
We're the fire experts, fire safety experts at Pendle New Tech. We train fire marshals, fire safety marshals at Pendle New Tech. Pendle New Tech have fire experts across the UK, covering all your local and national needs. With over 100 years experience in the fire safety industry, you know that you can trust Pendle New Tech. Right, enough of that now.
Mickey Mellon there. I've got to say, lads, absolutely loved that interview. Thought it was brilliant. I thought it was full of the kind of optimism that you want to hear as a fan. Full of the just the kind of honesty and steeliness there that what he's talking about with Manny. I think he's spot on with the thing about the crowd at the end there. I think with obviously exception of the playoffs, We have bottled the big games, haven't we? At numerous stages over the last few years. But no bottling it yesterday. And it just sounds like he's just set I think it's kind of a bit like with the playoffs where he kind of got the players into a certain mindset and was able to raise everything for that period and really got playing. Seems to me like that's the expectation for the whole season now. This is a playoff promotion, playoff minimum promotion chasing season, and everything has to be absolutely spot on mentally all the way through the season. And Manny is, obviously for whatever reason, we don't know the circumstances behind it, whatever. But Mickey knows Manny, doesn't he? He's played, he's played for him at numerous clubs, I think, and he knows him and he knows what's needed. And yeah, you can be one of the best players at the club. One of the players of the season. And maybe it's just gone to his head a little bit. He just thinks, I could just get to turn up here, do what I do. And Mickey's like, nah, mate, that's not the way it works. So I'm expecting when Manny comes back, oh my God, he was good last season. And when he does come back, he's going to be an absolute monster, isn't
he? Yeah, go on, Morris.
Yeah, I don't know really. I don't know what's gone on and why Manny's sort of fallen down the pecking order. I mean, he's a bit of a hero, isn't he? And in the fans' mind, so it's a bit of a puzzling one, really. But he's certainly sending out a message, not just to Manny, but to the whole squad, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%.
If you're not on your top game, you're going to be dropped. So as far as being a wider message, it's good. And let's hope Manny pulls it together and comes back better and stronger.
I think the thing is with pre-season, it's not what it used to be, is it? Players used to go on holiday, they used to eat what they wanted, drink what they wanted, and just switch off from football, like I was saying before, that I do. Players haven't got that luxury now. You can't come back however many stone overweight. You can't lose ground on those around you who in your own team and the players in the other teams in the division, because the top athlete mindset is there. It's elite sport, isn't it? At the end of the day, Division 4 of English football, it's professional football. You've got to be on your game, simple as.
Yeah, and I think it's just like you say, he was really positive. He's not getting carried away. He never does get carried away. So you don't get any extremes with Mickey Mellon, do you? He never gets overly dour. He never gets overly excited until after the fact. I think, like Morris said, it's a really strong message to all of the squad. So we've got two players now who should be in our starting 11, whether it's him and Cav, who will come back knowing that if they let the levels drop, they won't be in the team. And he's not averse to just leaving you out of the squad completely and calling it out. So it's absolutely everything you would want from your manager. And like you say, it's professional football and they're all being paid an incredibly good wage for 4th division football. So
yeah.
And there's somebody waiting to take your place if you're not going to keep your standards up. And we've never had that before.
Well, we've certainly not had it for a long, long time. We've got players chomping at the bit to get in that team, and that's what you need. And you'll need it through the season as well, because with all the will in the world and all the hard work in the world, you get injuries, you get suspensions, it's a long, hard season, and you need a squad to get you through it. You do have your odd player who seems to be made of, like a Terminator, like a Robson, who just keeps going every game, but it's, you have to play through the pain barrier, and you need a squad. And you can see, talking about coming off the bench, weren't he? Woods and Pett, who played in our midfield pretty much every game last season, both on the bench, and they've been pushed back to that now, rather than guaranteed starters, and that's how I think it shows the progress that we've made. And I think you mentioned about the energy. We definitely had a lot more energy on the pitch. I don't recall there being many balls launched up, aimlessly up front. There was a few balls over the top for the new lad on the wing to chase and whatnot, but that wasn't the tactic, was it? There was composure. There was a moment early on in the game where Robson took the ball, played it into Norburn. You know, no panic. No, players around them look composed, look like confident, and yeah. Look, I mean, it's all good. I mean, I think there's nothing really negative from a football point of view. I did notice that Chris Stringer's posted something. There was a few grumbles about tuck shops in family stands and a few niggles about things that were were available or weren't available. I'm sure OASF keep their eye on these kind of things. And Mark, you're nodding there as the fan experience. I don't know what the right word is, but that's your thing for OASF. So have you noticed some of that stuff?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say there's been a lively chat on the OASF WhatsApp group following on from comments that were on social media yesterday, but also people's experience. And I think it does come back to a point that you said earlier, Matt, though, and this is about how the club makes a decision to spend the resources that it does have. There's clearly improvements needed to facilities in all of the stands, including the Joe Royal stand, which is our premium stand. But there must be a difficult balancing act between how do you get a squad that people want to turn up to versus how do you have a premium stadium with a squad that nobody wants to watch. It's not my background. I come from public sector. It's not my expertise about how do you balance all of those priorities when every decision you make has to wash its face financially.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely something that the board is aware of and will probably, obviously have ongoing dialogue with the club about.
I think sometimes, Maurice, I think from a fan's point of view, I think they look at someone like Frank and see what's been achieved and think that he must have some kind of magic wand in his pocket that can just wave and make everything right. And it's still a very small team of people that run the football club, that do everything between them. They work incredibly hard. Compare it to a club of a bigger size, the amount of staff that they can afford to pay to do the jobs. You could see yesterday that from a commercial point of view, they've got all the new advertising on the Joe Royal stand. The new advertising board that's increased revenue. You've got the Monarch Metal support sponsoring the Rochdale Road end. It's all these things to bring in extra revenue that can at some point be spent on improving the facilities and stuff like that. There's a lot to do. I alluded to it earlier on from where we were at, and I know fans kind of want their experience to be fantastic. I'm not really that arsed about all that other stuff. I want us to be winning games of football and moving up the division. I want and bringing more players in, more fans in, week out, because we're winning games, we're playing well. So if you have to queue for a pint or the touch shop's not open, it's not great, right? But if like you said, Mark, if you were given the choice, would you take a 2-0 win at home over Port Vale or the touch shop being open and you lose the game? You go for that, wouldn't you? So I think every effort is being made. I think people at the club are aware of it. I just, that second time we use the word patience, sometimes we just need to sort of just allow things to take their course. And I think it's right that people make OASF aware, make the club aware of things that they would like to see improved. But I don't think, Maurice, I don't know. Well, what do you think, Maurice?
I think there's an element of growth and change that's been going on the last 4 or 5 years, and resources always lag behind. So I would say that people in the back room at the club are working probably at 120% capacity, and things will fall over and not be just as everybody wants them. There were queues yesterday. People are complaining about, well, it was a big crowd, wasn't it? Should we put that right before the game? It's a good question. The Port Vale fans seem to have to go through 2 turnstiles for a big crowd. So there are all these sort of growth issues that we're sort of playing catch up still. So there was a lot of catch up massive catch up at the beginning when it took over, and there's still an element of catch up, and there's work going on in the background that's disruptive, and toilets aren't what they should be. The club are aware of that. It's top of the agenda, but was it fixed for yesterday? No. Was it ever going to be fixed for yesterday? No. And some of the things we've just got to suck it and give them the capacity to put them right, but at the same time make them aware and hold, say this is unacceptable, or we understand this. But so and part of our role, I suppose, is to be a critical friend and to support them in what they're trying to achieve, but at the same time help them sort of keep things on track.
Well, one thing I know for sure about football fans is they're a lot more forgiving of things when the team's winning games on the pitch. So, as long as Latics keeps winning, and we keep one problem I would love to have is that we've got crowds that are too big, that are putting pressure on the infrastructure, but they're coming in, they're spending their money, they're watching a winning team. We can deal with that. That is a much better problem than fans not turning up in numbers, not winning games, and going back in the direction that we were before. So, and
there's one thing that the board and the team at Boundary Park, they don't pay lip service to fans' views. So when something's raised, so far as they can, they do something about it, and they actually, continually seek our views on things like season ticket prices, kit, badges, etc., etc. And so there is a good line of communication there, albeit good or bad.
Yeah, look, I mean, you have to be nitpicking to some degree. If you come away from Boundary Park yesterday and you weren't happy, then there are people you can talk to. Let's just put it that way, right? Overall yesterday was fantastic. We're going into Colchester next week with abundance of optimism. Did we beat them 3-1 last season down at their place? I think we did, didn't we?
Yeah. It was in the middle of that run, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the middle of the good run. And I don't think we've got nothing to fear from Colchester next week. Probably take as good a number to Colchester as we ever will, I think. Second game of the season, first away game of the season. Can't make it myself. Got a gig on Saturday night, but would have been there otherwise. And there's just so much optimism. And you Kavanagh, you're desperate for him to get another one. You're desperate for Fondop to get off the mark. There's just a really, really, really positive start to the season. And I always think back to, I'm not expecting this, by the way, but I always think back to the Division 2 championship winning season of 1990-91, where we were never out of the top two all season. I mean, what an incredible achievement that was. But getting off to that top start, I'd love us to be in the top 5, top 6 all season this season. At least in the top 7, in the playoff places, never drop below that. We've made the start for that. I think Walsall did their thing yesterday of getting off to a good start, 3-0 away at Gillingham, but they're one of those teams that do that, then seem to drop off. They certainly had the last 2 seasons. You need the points in the bag, don't you? If you can get that good run going, get those points in the bag, then you can allow yourself that bit of a dip, which you will inevitably have at some point, but without losing ground on the pack. There's 3 promotion places available. Salford lost yesterday, despite throwing their money at it. They changed their manager. I think the consistency that we've got is a superpower. I think the patience that the board have shown, they always believed in Mickey Mellon, and he didn't have the players to work with. He has done now. He's made good signings. It's still going to be a long season. You don't know, like Jack Stevens, out for the season in pre-season. You never know what's going to happen. What I did notice a really nice moment, actually, Jack Stevens was with Calum Kavanagh at the Rochdale Road end at the end of the game, and he was really encouraging the fans to, acknowledging and Kavanagh pointing at him, going, this man, come on. And I thought that was lovely for a guy who's out all season, right down there, right in the mix, encouraging his teammates along. That's a really good sign of somebody who's out for the season, but still an integral part of the squad. So that was really nice to see. So, yeah, onwards and upwards. What a fantastic opening game of the season.
Well,
It's great to be complaining about crowds coming out of the ground and queues coming out. What would we rather have, a performance like that and crowds coming in, or being bottom of the league and no queue going out?
Exactly. No, exactly. It's a good position.
It is, and the other place where there was a massive queue was in the store after the game.
Yeah.
So the pub store was full, and everybody was buying merchandise. And it's that thing that when you come out and you're on a feel-good factor, the sun's shining, you spend more money.
Yeah, 100%, and that's why it's important that the run. It's not a run, is it? We've won one game, but it's important. It does set the tone for the season. It can set the tone now for the season, and we're not going to get everything our own way. We're not guaranteed to go to Colchester and win the game, and then we've got Swindon at home, which will be another tough game. Then we're away at Tranmere. There's no easy games, but if we can, what we know is that the players and the manager and the club are going to approach every game with the right attitude, and they're going to be prepared, and they're not always going to have brilliant performances, not always going to play well. That's the nature of the game. But as long as they're setting those standards, those high standards, and trying their best to maintain them and meet them every week, then we could be in for an exciting season. And I just hope that we get a good haul of points out of this first 5 games, and that the confidence, then seeps through, and that club shop stays full, those bars stay full, and the queues stay long, and we're mourning about those things. We're mourning about too many people spending their money at the club, rather than what it was like, under the previous, the end of the previous regime, where there was barely any money or barely any people. These are good problems to have. Absolutely good problems to have. You know what problem you've got now, though, don't you?
Sadly.
You can guess.
Unfortunately, we do have to play Latics Mind. You are in the lucky position that there's 2 of you, 2 Latics Minds to work on this. OASF have, I'm very pleased to say, continued their sponsorship of Latics Mind this season. So thank you very much for that. And what better way to kick off the season with 2 Latics Minds from OASF ready to take on the questions randomly generated by the supercomputer. The supercomputer is also a director of OASF. However, I expect he's given you absolutely no help whatsoever.
None at all.
That's good to know. Good to know. Right. Good luck. Here we go. Let's play Latics Mind.
Latics Mind is sponsored by Oldham Athletic Supporters Foundation, investing in the fans, the club and the community. Join today at oasf.co.uk for just £12 a year. OASF, because we're stronger together.
How many times have Latics qualified for the end of season playoffs?
4.
Correct. Who scored his first Latics goal at Gillingham last season?
Michael Mellon.
Incorrect. It was man of the moment, Calum Kavanagh. In addition to Carlo Corizin, name another Canadian who have played for Latics.
Les Pogliacomi, Canadian.
No, he was Australian. Where did Latics sign Mike Fondop from?
Can we confer?
No.
No. First answer.
Colchester.
No, it was Hartlepool. Who replaced Andy Gorham as Latics keeper when he moved to Hibs?
Is it Andy Gorton?
It was Andy Gorton, correct. Who scored Latics' last penalty in the Premier League?
Was it Paul Brennan?
It was Rick Holden. How many managers have Latics had so far this decade, the 2020s?
Good God. 17.
No, obviously not. Come on, give us a real answer.
8.
Oh, no, it was 6. How many players were named both Latics starting lineups to play at Wembley in the 1990s? Or in both? How many players were named in both Latics starting lineups at Wembley in the 90s? So the only 3 players to be named in the both starting lineups in the final and the semi-final.
Latics Mind is sponsored by
Andy
Oldham
Ritchie was
Athletic
one of
Supporters Foundation, investing in the fans, the club, and the community.
Sorry, I forgot. Why does it loops automatically? You'd have thought that it wouldn't automatically loop. Anyway, it loops. No, so the right answer for that one was 3. It was Milligan, Henry, and Rick Holden. So you didn't pass on any. You got that one right. You got incorrect. So let your Hartlepool. Yeah, so there's no passes to run by. So you got 1.
Got 2, didn't
2.
we?
You got 2 right, yeah.
Well done, Mark.
I was going to say, didn't you get them both, Mark?
I did. Whether I knew them or was just lucky guessing.
Well, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You got them. So, yeah, 2 right. So, not the best, but something for the guests who follow to build on. So you can.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be in the end of season back face off.
No, I don't think so. No, never mind. But thanks for playing. That's the main thing, and it means that everybody could play along at home. So I hope you did well at home. Hope you did better than Mark and Morris, who got 2.
The Boundary Park Alert System is sponsored by Pendle New Tech, a family-run Lancashire business you can rely on for everything fire safety related, including supply and installation, maintenance, testing, certification, alarms, risk assessments, like I said, anything fire safety related. But what do I know? Visit pendle-nu-tech.com and they'll sort you right out. Check the show notes for more information.
So there we go. A fairly easy hour, I would say, to kick us off into the season. I usually do predictions with Andy and Dave. We haven't got that far yet because we've not done a podcast. The holidays, they're both away this week. I was away last week, so we've not been able to do that. I'll ask you two for your early season predictions. Morris, how do you think we are going to get on? Where do you think we'll finish at the end of the season?
I think we'll be about 5th. I think we'll get in the playoffs. We'll take it from there.
Mark?
Yeah, I think definitely playoffs, so I'll go 6 because Morris went 5th.
Close to the automatic spots, do you think? Do you think it'll be a tight one this season? I think there's it's a tough. It never gets any easier, does it? It's a tough one.
I think it might be tight, and we'll flirt with the automatic promotion places. Be concerned if there's one negative about yesterday, it's the intensity and the running. And how long can we keep that intensity up throughout the season?
I think it depends how good your pre-season's been. I think the pre-season lays a lot of foundations on that, doesn't it? I think using your squad properly as well, being able to rest players when they need it and bring in other players and that not affect the performance too much. That like last season, not just last, numerous seasons in the past, we've had Fondop playing every single game, running, battling, because there was nobody else that could come in and do his job. And you need that. You need to be able to rest players when they've got a knock and when they need a bit of a break. So I think we're in a better position to maintain the intensity this season than we did last season because I think we've got a better squad. We've got more legs, maybe a bit more younger legs in there as well. So I watched York v Bristol Rovers yesterday, and I wasn't very impressed at all with Bristol Rovers. I thought they were poor. Game went 3-2. York were the better side by far. So Bristol Rovers are a side that you'd kind of expect to be up there. Rochdale got well and truly beaten yesterday, which was nice. So they lost their manager, didn't they, and some of their players. So they've lost a bit of that momentum that you'd expect from coming up. Tranmere managed to get a win, so maybe they won't struggle quite as much as they did last season. Yeah, we've got a really good start to the season, haven't we? We've got plenty of local games coming up through September: Rochdale, Tranmere, Salford, Fleetwood. The football is back in full swing now. We very sort of strange scenario where we played Stoke and Port Vale in our first 2 games of the season. I would much rather we won the one that we did win. I think we showed a good account of ourselves against a championship team who probably had a player on the pitch there that was worth more than our squad combined. So that was no disgrace. But when it came down to it, we had to beat the team that was sponsored by that right wanker on Robbie Williams. He had a song, didn't he, about beating. He put something out that they were there that came back to bite them on the arse in the first game of the season. So I'm delighted about that. Better luck next time, Robbie. Yeah, well done to Mickey Mellon. Well done to Calum Kavanagh, all the debutants yesterday, all the players from last season, the fans for turning up in numbers. Absolutely delighted. OASF, thank you so much for everything that you continue to do. Mark, enjoy being a director. It's a great privilege and a lot of fun. Great bunch of lads. Still no lasses on the board, Morris. We need to try and get. No,
we're always trying to recruit lasses, but it's not for want of trying.
No, that boy, but it's we're in that situation now where things are good, but it's slightly more difficult to recruit directors and members, but still an important role to play in that direct liaison with the fans and the club, that link between the fans and the club, which is really important. So thanks, guys, for your efforts and putting the time aside. Let's see where we're at next Sunday after our visit to Essex and Colchester. I'm fancying that we are going to be equally as happy. I'm going for 6 points out of 6. You can join me and Dave. He's back from his all-inclusive. We'll find out if he's put any weight on or if he's still looking super svelte after his holiday with the phone-in on Wednesday this season. We're going Wednesdays because I'm playing football on Thursday nights with the Oldham Athletic Community Trust. And this afternoon, after this game, we're playing an 11-a-side match against the new Oldham Athletic Deaf team. It's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure. And back to the proper football next Saturday. So, lads, Mark, Morris, thanks very much for joining me. Thanks for listening. It's great to be back. And we'll see you for the phone-in on Wednesday. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, everyone.
Hey Dave, did you know that listeners can now buy us a coffee or any other kind of hot beverage?
Ooh.
What's your favourite hot beverage, Dave?
A macchiato.
And how do you like your macchiato?
Black with lots of milk. Oh.
No cream?
No.
Well, if you want to buy Dave a
macchiato,
then go to buymeacoffee.com/We Are Oldham. I'll just have a Nescafe.
Ooh. Thank you, listeners.